Jason, we got a special guest today.
An actor.
Star of Unstable on Netflix. As the uncredited security guard, right?
Yeah, like
You didn't get a credit?
I never actually watched the credits and to see if I'm on that. But I was like corporate security guard 1 or something, or I think I was like, yeah. And
I didn't watch the credits either, but I remember you telling us about that. And so I was flipping through Netflix and I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch this Rob Lowe show. And then like whatever episode you're in, like 2 or 3.
I think, yeah.
Okay. So then I was like, oh my God, there's Jason. Yes, this must be the show he was talking about.
That's so funny. And you know, I forget about that because it's been a couple of years. It shot like probably 6 or 8 months before it even came out. I think I shot it in the summer and it was out next April. So it was like 9 months later, I think. So you kind of forget you even did it. And it's been now 2+ years, two years and a few months since I filmed it.
Yeah. That's good. That means you've been busy then.
Yeah. So, but yes, corporate security guard 1, I think. A big movie star, big TV star here. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get to the fun stuff, the reason why you would ask me if you could come on because you had family affected by the flooding from Helene.
Yeah. I have a lot of family in North Carolina, and then my, nearly 105-year-old grandmother. One of my aunts and then my cousin and his wife all live right in Hendersonville, just outside of Asheville. And then me and all the rest of the family all go out there and visit. And I'm out there all the time. I was just there with my wife and our kids just in March, and so we go out there all the time. We're out there at least once a year, sometimes, a couple of times a year. I've been going for 30 years. Wow. So it's a place close to my heart too, and of course I have people I love there. So
yeah, beautiful area.
It's incredible. Yeah, I love it.
And did their home get destroyed?
Well, so my grandmother and my aunt live together, so she kind of is her caretaker because she's obviously almost 105 years old. So she keeps an eye on her. She's still pretty good. She's still pretty good, but she needs help.
That's
here and
pretty
there.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's wild. And so, I mean, she's got to be one of the oldest people currently alive in the nation. When you think about that, there's got to be somebody that she's not many years less than whoever the oldest person currently alive is. But their house is on a hill. It's just outside of town. And along the main road that runs to their little driveway that goes up into their little neighborhood, that area got damaged. And like the bridge that they have that crosses a little creek into their little neighborhood was out, but their house itself was okay. No water or anything damaged because they're on a hillside, so everything drained away. But they didn't have power, didn't have water, didn't have, she has a well, but there's no power, so you can't get water out of your well. No internet, stuff like that. And they had to come be rescued by like my other aunt and uncle who live in Charlotte. They had to drive up and kind of help them get across the bridge and get them in a car and get them out of there a couple of days after it happened. Cause they were sitting up there for a couple of days with nothing.
Nothing, no power.
Yeah, no power, no water. And it was funny too, because I was texting my aunt, like as the storm was coming through. She's like, yeah, we're just, putting a puzzle together, and we got, our, we got lamps just in case the power goes out, or flashlights, whatever. And we got our little battery pack chargers for our phones, and we've got water to flush the toilets and whatever. So we'll be fine. And I don't think anybody expected like the flooding and the devastation. They just figured, well, it's going to rain a bunch, and then, it might knock some trees over and we'll be okay.
Right, because that was the outer edge of the storm that was coming through at the time.
Right. And so it was like, it's windy. Oh, some tree branches are breaking. That's literally just like, I heard a branch break outside. It's, it's like a little nerve-wracking, not a big deal, and then the next morning it's like, my poor aunt, like she loves that little town right there, Chimney Rock, I think it is. Yeah. And she's like my beloved Chimney Rock is like wiped off the map. It's just been washed away, basically.
That was the one where the entire town was. They showed the before and after, and it just was.
It's like it's not
gone.
There. Yes, gone. That's Chimney Rock, and it's a beautiful place and really big tourist place. And it was like destroyed. And then I have a bunch of friends that live out there, which I knew, but you kind of forget. But they're like in the same industry, like in the photo industry and stuff that my wife and I have been in for years. that they live in Asheville. They live near Asheville. One of my friends is a photographer, and she and her husband also have one of those like agriturismo, like farm and ranch things that you could come and stay and work and live on. That's right there in the mountains, right outside of Asheville as well. And it got destroyed. And she was posting live videos of the water rushing across the property and washing away the hen house, and they had their chickens living in their bathtub.
Good, they saved the chickens.
Yeah, they saved the chickens, but their property's trashed, and then they had to. This is the busy season started right when the storm hit. Was like right in the midst of wine season for that area. There's a big wine country there. Tourist season's at all-time high at that time of year. Plus, it's when the leaves are turning and everything. It's the most beautiful time of year in that place. So you got wine harvesting going on. You've got tourism like crazy, and every bit of it was just wiped out. So all these people with businesses, all the small businesses in downtown Hendersonville and Asheville and everywhere that rely on that tourism have all had to close. And like my friend's, farm that they have people come stay on, they won't be able to open until next year in like April or May after the ice and freezing goes away.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I mean, it's crazy because the I-40 goes through there, and that's going to be closed for a year.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Did they say just a year? Is that all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least a year.
Yeah, and when you look at the picture of what happened to it, you can see why. I mean, you can't just go, let's throw some dirt back in the hole and redo the highway. You're going to have to literally divert the river, and they're going to have to build these massive, I don't know how they do it. I'm not an engineer, but there's going to be tons of concrete involved and probably huge boulders, and they're going to have to make a new wall that diverts the water for the next 100 years so that they can fortify that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Have you seen the pictures of it?
Yeah, I saw the pictures of the town that was wiped out.
And then Interstate 40.
The before and after. I haven't seen pictures of the 40.
Yeah, it's trashed. There's one lane left maybe, and it's precarious to even probably go near.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to go to Asheville.
That drive's beautiful. Going on the 40 out of Western North Carolina up over to the hills into Tennessee. It's like one of the most beautiful drives you've ever seen. I've done it several times and I love it. Just a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, I did that drive a couple years ago.
Yeah.
On it. Just amazing. I wish I spent more time there. I probably should have stopped in Asheville. I just kind of...
It's a great place. We go to
I've always wanted to go there.
Yeah, the Biltmore Estate's incredible. I've been there, probably 4 times. We take our kids. We took our kids. We were there last time. I think I went there again just the year before with my wife, and a few more times before that. We love going. Every time we go out, we love going around and just spending some tourism dollars and enjoying all the beautiful downtowns. Which downtown Hendersonville was like a huge inspiration of mine when I heard that we were going to do our downtown here in Kingman, and I was like, hey. There's this place I go to all the time. Let me send you pictures. So I was shooting pictures over to Jamie and Sarah and showing them pics and going, hey guys, this is, I know you guys are going to do this thing. Here's this place I always go. It's special to me. And this is what it looks like. And I was actually out there and taking video of me driving down the street and was texting it to them so they could see it.
Oh,
cool. And I'm not saying that's with the inspiration. I was just saying that, hey, I get what you're doing and where you're going. And here's this great place you may not have ever been.
But they have sidewalks.
Yeah, they've got the same kind of thing. Yeah, the little, and they've got little intersections where they bump out the sidewalks and have little roundabouts to slow traffic down. They change the way everything works so it's more, pedestrian friendly. Big wide sidewalks, little parklets, all that stuff. The same entire concept.
Very cool.
And it's been that way for decades. Yeah.
Huh. I was kind of wondering where that came from because I had never really seen that.
Yeah, and it wasn't my idea. It was just that. I saw what they were talking about when the initial stages. I'm like, I know what you're talking about. Let me show you this great stuff I've seen,
Yeah, so, I really like it too. I like the way downtown looks.
It's remarkable. Yeah. And speaking of that, it's always the loudmouths like, oh, whatever, it's ridiculous. What a stupid thing to do. And you're bottlenecking traffic. It's like, first of all, what traffic? Second of all, it did not go from 2 lanes down to 1 lane. It's always been 1 lane. It just felt like 2, and you drove like 2 because it had such wide open spaces and these crazy streets that you could speed through on, and now you can't. Now you're complaining.
Right.
Yeah, and plus it looks nicer. I mean,
it's gorgeous.
Why are they? Some people are just against good stuff, I guess.
They're miserable.
I don't know.
I mean, that's what it boils down to. They're just not happy people to begin with.
Yeah, and they look at it like, if I don't get something out of something, I don't want anybody to have anything.
I know.
Plus, the other way they do things, and this goes into the political side of stuff, is that as long as the people I don't like are suffering, I'm okay suffering too. Right. Which is a big part of why you see people who are on disability, Social Security, welfare, things like that, voting for the very people who want to take those things away.
I know.
And it's because they're okay if they have to suffer, as long as the people they hate have to suffer too. And it's really
And doesn't it sound so crazy when you say it? You're like, there's people who actually go for this.
Yeah. Every time I drove by a car. I mean, every day we go leave our house, we all see it, and and it takes. I grew up with nothing, okay, and I know what it's like to be on welfare. I know all those things, and be on like a HUD, like the state sponsored housing, and all that stuff, and I would have never understood going, hey, Donald Trump, yeah, he gets me. I know, right? The guy that's got a picture of his golden, the
gold toilet.
Yeah, gold toilets and his gold plated house and his wife and all of her great, surgery work, which is great. Like, I would have never really saw that. And gosh, I got something in common with that guy. Like, it's funny. And even now that I do okay, I still have far more in common with the people who wash dishes at his hotels and restaurants than I would ever have with him, because I'm far closer to their level of income, by multiples and multitudes than I would ever be to what his is.
Exactly.
Speaking about that part of it and how these floods affected that area, what was the messaging your friends and family were getting? Like, because if you don't have TV, okay, and you're relying, saying, on a radio, and it's all conservative. If you've ever driven through that area, it's just, you turn on the radio, it's just conservative radio.
Yeah.
Except for Asheville.
Yeah, well, so as soon as you leave the middle of the city and go into a neighborhood or anything, it immediately becomes big giant crosses and Trump flags and like broken down cars in driveways. That's literally what it looks like.
Yeah. Okay. So the point being is, if you're without power and you're relying on the radio, and the conservative messaging is, well, FEMA's not coming here to help you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's basically, here's your $720 and good luck.
Right. And that, and also on top of that, it's not only FEMA not here to help you, they also are they're taking Chimney Rock and turning it into some mine, that they're expanding some mine, because about 70 miles away, there's a mine of some sort for some type of mineral. And so the whole thing, there was another thing about that, which you guys will have to look this up, that they literally took Chimney Rock because under the lake nearby or whatever, there's a bunch of those minerals. So they're going to go mine under a lake, and they use this opportunity of the storm to take everyone's property and seize it so that they can mine under the ground of the city. It's like, oh, come on.
Or
they control the weather.
They controlled the weather, and they made the storm.
Here's where MTG comes in.
Yeah.
They control the weather to take the minerals from under the lake.
Yeah, and they control the weather, just like cheated on the last election, the last couple elections, except in places like Arizona where conservatives still won, seats in the Senate and the House and stuff. We just forgot to cheat on those specific races on the ballot. Only the one for Trump did we cheat on.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, the mental.
Yeah, like that one little oval is the only one that they was cheated on.
You could manage to cheat, or in the computer. It was the computers that they're saying the way it was counted. So why didn't you just simply make it count the rest of this stuff, so we could have had control of the House and the Senate the whole time?
Right. That was my point on it. I was just like, okay, well, we would have won the Senate, we would have won the House by a huge majority,
so that it could never be turned back again.
Yeah.
Because why cheat and not go all the way? And I mean, it's insane. So. Yeah, going back to Western North Carolina and all the bullshit going on there, I can say that, right? Say bullshit.
Yeah. So of course.
We're not on regular radio. So yeah, but with all that stuff going on, fortunately, like, my family members aren't, they're bright people. They're not, and my friends are pretty bright people. Like the circle I have around, they're pretty bright. So they're not going, oh no, whatever these idiots on the radio are lying to me about, or whatever Trump and a few politicians who don't even live here are lying to me about, that's nonsense, because I live here, I'm seeing it, I'm right in the middle of it, and they're able to go. The cool thing is that they're them in their community who actually live there are able to, they got the internet back, within about 5-6 days or so, and they're able to post video and walk around and show people, hey, here's Chimney Rock, they're just cleaning up the street, man. Everything's fine. There's just people outside sweeping, and they got a tractor.
Not mining.
They're literally out here currently with bobcats trying to scrape all the dirt off the roads, and there's people fixing their places, and they're trucking in. Oh, they're not giving you any supplies, or won't let anybody fly helicopters. It's like that was another one. They're turning away private helicopters. It's like, okay, so we've got military with military band radio, and it's a crazy fluid situation. So all we need is a few yahoos who aren't on the same radio frequencies, and there's no way to coordinate between them and military helicopters and get everyone flying around in disaster zones safely to drop off goods. Like, it's insane when you think about the amount of work that would require and technological advancements to make it all come together versus, hey guys, do us a favor, don't fly your helicopters into here right now and let us just figure out what the hell's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the fact where they were gathering supplies, the government was coming up and confiscating these supplies that were being donated.
Or they won't let us donate, right? Because you're taking it to a FEMA building. FEMA doesn't handle donations. The Red Cross and places like that handle that. FEMA literally is there to help with organizational things, almost like an administrative duty, and they hand out money and take information and give information. They don't actually physically hand deliver bottles of water to people. That's someone else's job.
Yeah. And then they take, when Kamala was doing her speech, when she visited Georgia, I think, she said, yeah, we're giving you $720. Then it gets to this. And then you file for this.
Yep.
And then we can give you this much for helping rebuild your house. And then there's this funding for this thing. And she laid it out, and they cut, we're giving you $720.
Right. And they use that as a talking point to try to make her look bad, make the administration
they
look
always
bad.
do that.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. But I mean, and
and
everybody's so short, have such short memories. They don't remember that there was hurricanes when Trump was in office, and they got the exact same thing then. And all those.
Hey, they
same
got
people.
paper towels through.
Yeah, they did get some paper towels with a few like a Papa Shot launches, across
for his photo ops.
Yeah, yeah. And so if he shows up, it's because he's a good guy and he really cares. If the president, Biden shows up, or if the vice president shows up, it's because they want a photo op. And so even if the same thing, Trump was there, and they're like, please don't come. He comes anyway, and that's not a photo op. And then when the actual people who can do something get there, they're like, they're just there for a photo op. It's the mental gymnastics are, it's insane how stupid and insane you have to be.
Well, and then you got to last week, the FEMA workers had to stop because
they were being harassed.
And there was like this armed militia that was getting together, and one person said they were hunting them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they arrested that guy who was literally running around with rifles and pistols and making threats like publicly about he's going looking for these guys. And it's like, again, they literally are just trying to do a job that they do all the time, even on a small scale. People don't ever think about FEMA until it's something massive, but FEMA is out there helping just when there's a tornado that comes through and knocks a few houses over in Oklahoma. It's just that it's not national news because we're not talking about hundreds of people dead, and we're not talking about hundreds of square miles destroyed and entire communities. So people don't go, oh, FEMA, they're evil, when it's, middle of some small town in Oklahoma.
Yeah. And what they also don't talk about is the Republican congressmen from North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia were the same ones who were cutting FEMA funds out of the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, they voted against the bill.
Yeah, right before the hurricanes, it's like, nope, we're not going to put another $18 million into funding FEMA,
And then they had the audacity to go on social media and be like, we need to go back so we can vote on these bills. I'm like, well, you had the chance to vote for them.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah. But the thing is that it's grievance politics, and all they have is that. So that's why Mike Johnson didn't go, hey, everybody, let's go back and vote to get some more funding before they went on a 5-week break, because if they don't have these grievances, they have nothing to complain about, and they have nothing to campaign on, because the entire Republican platform nowadays is only grievance and only victimhood. And there isn't actually a game plan to help people or pass bills that help people. It's only to take things from people and to harm people you don't like we talked about before.
Because they don't actually care about these people anyway.
Oh God, no.
I mean,
they're useful idiots.
They care about getting their tax breaks. That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, the big donors are for tax breaks. The people who, the everyday people, there isn't really any tax break for them, and that also goes back to the whole thing that American exceptionalism has taught people for decades that everybody here is really just a temporarily inconvenienced millionaire, and that's why everyone is like against taxes, even when they don't pay any. You know what I mean? You can literally make 10, 15 grand a year at a start entry level job, and you're just struggling through life. And I feel terrible for people that have to do that. I've done it. We've all,
right.
and they're like, no new taxes. It's like, bro, you paid $200 in taxes last year. Like, it's not even none of this affects you. If a person making $1 million is going to have to pay a higher rate or anything over $1 million, it's not affecting you, man. It's only going to help you, and it's just crazy to me.
Yeah, especially like in that area.
Yeah,
because that's a heavily red area
and heavily poverty-stricken areas.
Yeah,
yeah. So these people are, I drive around in Hendersonville and Asheville, and as soon as you leave the main highway and any back roads and out of suburbia, it's immediately Trump flags on really dilapidated homes. And I've taken pictures and been like, oh my God, this house is like, I think it might fall apart any minute now. And yet they've got these they've spent all their money on Trump flags and Trump signs, and I can't wrap my head around them thinking that he somehow relates to them, that he would ever even want to be near them. He's disgusted by people like that.
I know. He tells all of his handlers, he complains I don't want to have to touch their hands. I don't want to touch them. They're disgusting. And
he wouldn't let them shine his shoes, let alone have a meal.
He would not piss on them if they were on fire.
Yeah.
Well, even then, you get back to rebuilding, what was destroyed. Are these people going to go out and do those jobs? Most likely, no. It's going to be the immigrants that they do not like are going to be going in and rebuilding it.
100%. Mm-hmm. Every job site, everywhere, and getting the best work and the best, dedication. The people are going to work on Saturday, Sunday. Those are the people that they don't want around that are going to do the job, and that's why it's also not going to cost them double, because those people are willing to work for less than they should have to.
Well, even in town, take any contractor in this town that drives around with their Trump stickers on their truck. Yep. They're pulling into Home Depot to look for day work.
Yep, 100%. And everybody that shows up at my house, anytime that I have a contractor come repair something, or when it was being built, it was always people that looked different from the contractor. Somebody with brown skin, somebody that maybe English is a second language, or they haven't even quite learned it yet. But you know what? They are always there. They're there on weekends. They're there when they should have a day off, and they're out there longer than they should have to be. And they're killing themselves just to get by for the guy in the $75,000 pickup truck, And that very guy is voting against those people, but that guy also knows that he's the one that's creating those jobs for them, and he's the one hiring them. And if he weren't, he would be struggling to get work for his company because he wouldn't be able to compete on price against all the other contractors. So they're all just kind of in on it together.
Yeah.
Just kind of this big vicious circle.
People are always mad at the immigrant, but they're not mad at the person that's giving them the jobs. And that's the part that it's easier to punch down, and it's easier, to look at someone that's has less money than you and go, you're my problem. You're the reason I don't have more. Than it is to look at the dude that's literally,
pulling strings on
more.
Taking more. And the guy that is, again, with the grievance politics, they're telling you that there's always a boogeyman. If you think about that, every election, if you think about going back since Obama started, when it got really bad, if you think about every election since then, it's every 2 years, it's been, oh my God, there's a caravan of brown people coming from south of the border, and they're going to kill you all. They're going to take your job. They're going to rape your family members, and they're going to murder you in the streets and eat your pets. And every year it's a different boogeyman. And since the whole, the thing with the Mexican border isn't really flying this year, it didn't really didn't really get that big of a deal in the election cycle. Like earlier, like a year ago, there was a whole border crisis and all the Texas with their BS they were doing, the armed guards down at the border, and that really didn't work for their messaging. And people were going down there going, there's literally no one coming across the border. What's the problem?
Yeah, well, snow spent a few days down there, and
oh my gosh, it was dead.
Yeah.
I've got 2 more border crossings to go to that I'm going to go on my next vacation in 2 weeks, because I want to see if they're just like all the other ones. I mean, nothing going on.
No.
And I tell people, though, I'm like, folks on the other side, I'm like, don't even believe what I'm telling you there. Go with your own 2 eyeballs and look, and go talk to the people who live in those towns.
Yep.
Go talk to them. They live there.
Yep.
They'll tell you that it's not what the news says.
Yeah, 100%. And they won't go, because then they have to admit that what they thought they knew is not the truth. And then you have to sit there and process and go, oh my God, people are lying to me. Well, wait a minute, who's lying to me? What? I like those guys. Why would they lie to me? And then you have to put all that together, and that short circuits your brain. Like, it's hard to admit that you're being lied to.
They'd rather not know. They want to believe the lies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that they want to believe.
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. I mean, it's all, they're going to come take your guns, but we had 8 years of Obama, almost 4 years of Biden, and nobody's guns have gone anywhere.
And the crazy thing about the border too, so it's not like we didn't have people immigrating here like under George Bush. Yeah. And I lived in Phoenix at the time.
Yeah, I grew up in Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they did not give a shit at all during then. They did not care until Obama ran. Yeah. Then it was an issue.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you can go back, and Ronald Reagan's policies are the ones that literally created I don't call it a crisis, but what they call a migrant crisis. We have more illegal immigration happening now and since Reagan, because of, I have to go back and look up what it was, and you can probably find it and put it in the with a link with your podcast, but he worked to pass a bill that basically made this easier for people to do.
Yeah.
And so
he did.
Thanks a lot, Ronald Reagan.
I can't remember what it's called either, but I know what you're talking about.
We discussed it on the podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Before.
So,
yeah.
So, but it's all Obama's
fault. Is it like
fault.
the amnesty one?
Amnesty Act of some sort?
Okay. Yeah, I think it was something like
so,
that.
So, yeah, I mean, but there's got to be a boogeyman. So it was, in this last year, all we've heard about is trans people who somehow or another, the thing that affects 1% of people in this country is somehow killing and ruining everyone's lives. But meanwhile, every other week there's a priest or a cop being arrested for diddling kids constantly. And they're always Republicans. Always Republican cops getting arrested, Republican mayors for getting arrested for diddling kids. And it's like they're
Republican church people.
Yeah. And so now the boogeyman is Haitians, because, and I mean, they literally, J.D. Vance and Trump literally are like, J.D. Vance like, well, I actually don't know. I've just been told that. And Trump the other day was like, well, I just heard. I've heard stories that's the truth. It's like, well, why don't you investigate those and see if they're real? And he's just like, well, I don't know. So they're just put these out and foment these stories and push them forward because they feel like it's politically expedient, but it's really just hurting people.
Yeah, and that all ties back into the North Carolina thing, is spreading that false information creates fear among those people. And, well, hey, no one's coming here to help us, so, hey, let's do whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you want chaos, and you want fear, and you want, disillusion. You just want everybody to be feeling like there's no hope, because then what do they do? They step in and go, Trump, exact words, only I can save you.
They're out I'll be your retribution.
Yeah, I'm your retribution. I'm going to save you. I'm going to make everything better.
He's women's protector.
Yeah, I'm going to protect women. There's no bigger protector of women than me.
Really, the rapist guy?
Yeah, the man who's been adjudicated a rapist and been accused by dozens of women is the one that's going to protect you. But yeah, it's
their brand is fear. I mean, that's fear. Their brand.
You stoke fear, and then you tell them you are the solution to it. And it's actually marketing 101. You tell people what's wrong with them, or something that they have, or something they need, and why something's wrong with it, and then you give them a solution. That's how you market anything for sale.
Yeah.
New cars.
And some people really like the whole strongman, like daddy type figure.
Yeah.
Like some people need that.
I love seeing the big tough guys in their big tough guy trucks driving around, and then they're like, Trump protects us. It's like, oh, you need protecting. Oh,
I know. I thought you were a tough guy.
Yeah, I thought
what
you were tough.
Protection
I thought
from?
you were tough. Oh, well, you just pretend to be tough. I see. I got
It's just a look. It's a facade.
It really is. And damn.
Yeah. So, let's switch topics up a little bit. Hollywood. You've been spending a lot of time out there.
Yeah, like almost too much, I'd say. Yeah, that's a real change of gears. I like it.
Well, we got
to
the
move it
liberal
along,
elites. We're ragging on conservatives.
Yeah, it's liberal elites and our Hollywood nonsense. Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time in LA. I work in movies and TV now, which is weird to say. I actually wake up and I'm like, I talk to my wife. I'm like, I can't believe that I actually do this now. This is weird. I just don't get it.
It's so cool. I wish I did it.
It's weird, but it's interesting and it's kind of fun and it's all those things. And then when it becomes routine, it's kind of like a lot of other things. And I'm not at all complaining. Like it's more of you become used to it and you go just like anything else. Like, man, my feet hurt because I've been standing all day. And it's like, man, I've been eating like shit today because, there's too many snacks and crap available to you. And
like craft
craft services it's called. We call it, everybody calls it crafty for short, but craft services. So there's literally someone there to give you anything you want to eat and drink all day. And then they have caterers coming in, bringing you food. So you're just like, oh man, I'm eating like terrible. No, I didn't get to work out. And it's like, but these are literally first world problems.
I know.
And I try not to complain.
How did that come about?
Going way back like 10 years ago, my wife and I did a wedding. We're photographers. We did a wedding for some people that work in the entertainment industry and doing movies and TV. And I just kind of got a call once and they asked me if I wanted to come appear on an episode of Ballers, which is a show that was on HBO. It had about 5 or 6 seasons and it starred Dwayne Johnson and a couple of other, Rob, what's the bald guy's name? Rob something. I just love him. He's hilarious.
Corddry?
Rob Corddry. Thank you. Great memory.
I have useless knowledge for pop culture.
Right. And then it also had Isaiah Washington, who's Denzel Washington's son.
Oh, okay.
And he's wonderful. And so they just said, hey, they're shooting in Vegas and like I live close to Vegas. Do you want to come up and audition for like a featured background part? So I drove up, went to an audition, and they're like, you don't only have to audition, just go in, tell the guy who you are, and they'll put you in that you can be on the show. So I went up there.
They didn't even know though, just looking at you. You look like The Rock.
Yeah, well, they just knew that they were looking for like athletic looking people to be like background actors.
Oh, okay.
So they wanted like, hey, we want people that are well dressed to look like they're other athletes and people that, because in the show, he's an agent for, or a financial advisor, an agent for athletes. And so there's always athletes in the background in the scenes because he's running around in those circles. And so they wanted some background actors to kind of play, other athletes. And I'm 6'4", 260 pounds. I look like a linebacker, and so they was one athletic people. They're like, you'd be perfect for it. Just go up there and give the guy your name. So I drove up to the audition place and just gave my guy a name. They're like, oh, Jason, yeah, I know you're good. So-and-so called us. So come back in a week and we're going to be shooting for a couple of days. And so I went home and I came back in a week and shot for a couple of days, which was really cool. And then while I was there, or actually after I got home from there, I got a phone call asking me to come back up there and shoot. I'm getting ahead of myself. While I was there, a lot of people that were working in production kept saying, man, you like really resemble Dwayne Johnson a lot. And I'm like, yeah, I've been hearing that for like ages, going back to when he was like a wrestler in the 90s and I didn't know who he was. And people would tell me I look like him. And I'm like, it's weird, right? And so the people in production were just kind of making comments about that. And I'd be in makeup or something or wardrobe. And they're like, man, you really look like DJ a lot. And I'm like, oh yeah, weird. I've been hearing that forever. And so I go home after a couple of days of filming, just background stuff, just being an extra. It was really fun. And I got a phone call from the people in production and they were like, hey, there was kind of like an emergency and DJ took off and we're not sure when he's coming back. Would you be able to come back and shoot his scenes like double stuff where you can't really tell if it's him or not, or from over his shoulder, just background, whatever scenes that we can do so we can somehow try to keep production open. And I'm like, yeah, I'd be happy to do that, right? Like, I thought that was the cool. I'd never in my life. I hung up the phone. I turned to my wife. I'm like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what this phone call just was,
Yeah.
And we're like, no way. And so that was wild. And then, several years later, I got asked to do, a thing here doubling or a thing there doubling. And so I now, do that a lot. And so it's become kind of like my other career in the last couple of years, to where, I've been working on projects since like May of 23, and then through the strike, and then it picked up again, and worked on that all early this year, all the way till July. And that'll be wrapping up soon. And then I just started a project. Literally, I just got home from LA yesterday, and I was in LA for a few days. I got to go back again tomorrow, working on another project that's going to be really cool. I can't say what it is, but if you guys watch Thursday Night Football on November 7th, you will see a really cool promo being done for an upcoming movie. And I'm going to be in that promo, and you'll be seeing my body and seeing my hands and arms and, body playing parts in this really cool promo that's going to be on Thursday Night Football with the NFL. So that's something to watch out for.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime.
Is that on Prime now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to have Prime to watch, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I better make sure I tune in. We're gonna have to have a watch party for the whole 2-minute long intro of the game. It'll be fun.
I know whose arm that is.
Yeah, I've seen that arm before. Yeah, so it's kind of cool, and so I'll be doing that. And I can't say like who I'm working for or what I'm doing and what it is, but I mean it's gonna. I just know that it's gonna be during the game, and it's gonna be something cool. So it'll be right at the beginning of the game. So I'm excited for that. I kind of just every few weeks someone will call me and go, hey, I need you to come to LA or go wherever and shoot some stuff with this person and for this movie or TV show. And so I've been doing that quite a bit.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay, hey, even better, November 7th, so 2 days after the election, we'll be able to turn off election coverage and have something to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's literally 2 days after the election, which by then, I mean, what was it, the morning of the 6th the last time is when they basically said, hey, it's Joe Biden's going to win it. It was like, or something like that. It was like the day and a half later.
It was 4 days. It was Saturday.
Okay, when it was official. But I think they were like, it feels like it's going to be okay. Like, it was like 6 a.m. or something the next day. They're like, it's looking pretty good. I think we're going to be all right situation.
Yeah.
And then by Saturday, it was like, yeah, it's done. So, yeah, we'll be able to actually relax a little, hopefully.
Yes. Take a breath.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Depending on the outcome.
Yeah, if it's not a good outcome, and that maniac somehow weasels his way back in office. I just got like my EU citizenship, so I'm gonna get the hell out of here.
I don't blame you.
There you go.
I'm gonna go live in Italy. I got my Italian and EU citizenship, so I can go back and forth, which will be nice, but with my family. But it's really cool. I'm having a lot of fun. And again, I never, when people were telling me I look like this guy way back in the day, and I was like, I don't even know who you're talking about, and they're like, watch wrestling. It's great. You got to see this guy. And I started watching. I'm like, I guess I do kind of look like him.
Yeah. How is he as a person?
This guy we're not going to talk about. Yeah, he's great. He's, he's super nice. And he's always generous and kind. I mean, I remember on Ballers, he came out when I was just being an extra on there, and somebody on production had a birthday, and he came out carrying the cake, leading everybody in happy birthday for this guy. And he's a big star by then. He's not like, this isn't, 1998 Dwayne Johnson. This is, 2015 Dwayne Johnson, mega star who has his own TV show and production company at this point. He's in every other movie, Dwayne Johnson. So, it's crazy to think about that. Even at that, he's still that friendly. And so even, the guy I work with nowadays, who I'm not going to say who it is, he seems like a really nice guy, just like Dwayne Johnson. So he's really cool and, always super friendly. And, every time he sees me, gives me a nice big hug and, sees what's up and whatever, and chit chat a little bit. And he's always friendly to everybody working on set and thankful and kind and, does his job. He's a real pro. So it's cool. Yeah. Having a lot of fun.
And how was it when the strike happened? Because you were just getting rolling with this, and then the strike shut it down for 9 months?
Yeah, it was, we shut down the project that we were working on. That's like been going on for ages. It got shut down right after I'd been out there like a couple of times, I think, filming at least once or twice. And then it got shut down. And then like literally 7-8 months or something, it was like January, I got a call again. It was probably 9 months, I guess. And then it was suddenly like, hey, can you be here for like 5 days in LA? And then, come back in 3 weeks and be here for another, 2 or 3 days. And come back again. And every time we're in a different studio or a different place. And, and it's like, okay, now we're going to be in Atlanta for 2 months. And I'm like, hold on. I don't want to go to Atlanta for 2 days, especially not 2 months. But that's where they're at right now. I didn't go. My agency, was negotiating it with, the big, the company that's making the movie, the big, company, and, they didn't want to pay to have me there. And so I don't even know who they found. I don't know if they even found anybody, but, they brought out a couple of the stunt guys and stuff, but I ended up not going, and that's okay with me because it would have been hard living there for 2 months.
Yeah. How do you balance that, trying to run your business and do the Hollywood,
business,
family?
Well, the cool thing is that, first of all, my wife is like, amazing. She is, the foundation for everything because she's such a stable and functional and really smart and well-equipped person that she's able to bring it all together and manage all of our employees and manage the dates for all of the work that our company has to do, to the point where she's kind of been able to remove me from it. She kind of fired me. So I don't actually have to work a whole lot now, because we have a great crew and great staff, and she's so great at managing all of it. And so I'm able to take off. I have a MacBook with me if I'm needed for something. But I mean, honestly, I get to, really enjoy what I'm doing and be just focus on what I'm doing and not have to worry about anything a whole lot, and, my wife's just amazing and takes care of it. So works out good. Kids are all grown up and off doing their things. So it doesn't really cause any issues in that regard either. No little kids at home. So she's looking shell shocked over there.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Kat.
We have a new guest. Hi, Kat. Hi, Kat. How you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Good. You shocked to see me sitting here right now?
They said they gave me a heads up that you were coming. So.
Oh, okay. I was, because I saw you come sit down, I just figured, well, she must be really surprised to see me sitting here. It's like, who? What? Yeah.
No, they gave me a heads up.
Cool.
I'm like, I know him on Facebook.
Maybe she saw Unstable.
Right. Yeah, because I
saw your performance.
So well, that
I'm really bad at
Netflix
keeping
show,
up on pop culture stuff.
That's all right.
So,
but yeah, that's what's been going on, and that's what I'm in the midst of, and it's been really interesting. What's funny is I already find myself thinking, well, that guy's, gosh, I wonder how long he's going to actually act for, because he's, I'm 49, he's about 53, and obviously you can go on forever, but he plays roles. He plays these roles that aren't, he's a serious actor and he's a great actor, and there's plenty of like range there. But I mean, it's not like George Clooney plays he plays a 70-year-old, gentleman in a suit who's like a gangster, and I just saw a movie with him and Brad Pitt that was on Netflix. I think it came out on, it was fantastic, or on TV Plus or something. And it's a great movie. And I think to myself, well, yeah, there's only certain people that can be that age and still kind of play those type of roles. And I just hope that the guy that I work with is, will have many more years of doing it, because he might just go, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, but he's still going back to professional wrestling, which from time to time.
Yeah, I guess so. And so, I mean, hopefully it's another decade or something. I mean, I'll be, almost 60 at that point, so maybe I get another decade out of it, because it took forever for me to start.
what's the show called?
So
Well, we can't
I
discuss
can't
it.
talk.
I
Well,
thought
I
you
have
just
projects
said-
I've been working on. I can't talk about them.
Oh,
Previous ones I
okay.
can, but anything I'm working on right now, I can't talk about. I'll
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
you,
get-
you can watch Unstable episode 3 from Rob Lowe.
That's,
Yeah,
that's
but-
the one.
yeah,
I
that's
was
a-
like, what did you
Yeah,
just
that's
say
a
it was
different
called?
one. Yeah, Unstable.
Oh, okay.
Unstable is me just playing
I'll have to look
I
that
got to
up.
play a corporate security guard on Corporate Security Guard 1 on Unstable with Rob Lowe in season 1 on Netflix. So that was just me playing like a tiny it was in the middle of a scene, which was cool, but it wasn't like I was in had a bunch of dialogue or something. I'm just standing there like, but,
Yeah.
but we
You
were,
just take somebody out. You haul
yeah,
somebody
drag
out.
someone off. But what's funny is we
Yeah.
rehearsed that. I rehearsed it with her double. Gosh, they set this up. I mean, we worked on it for hours. Just that one scene. It's amazing how much work goes into something like that. And
Wow.
that whole set is inside of a giant set at CBS Radford Studio. It's just doing this huge, it's a sound stage. And they built an entire set that looks like you're in some gorgeous modern building that has real staircases, those floating stairs in it. And everything's like from a real office, but it's built into there. And then just fake computers, but everything else is real. It's like a beautiful place. But yeah.
But
So.
the secret one that you're
Oh,
currently
yeah, that's
doing
just-
is the 7th of November. We'll know.
Yeah.
Well,
During-
it's gonna be it's gonna be a,
commercial.
It's
or
a
promo
intro.
thing
It's the
for
intro to Thursday Night Football
NFL.
Aha.
Yeah.
for the NFL.
For the game between the
It's
Bengals,
the Bengals and Ravens. Yep.
Bengals Ravens.
Yeah. So that's going to be cool. If it was already after and it was already out, I could talk about it, but I
Yeah,
can't
that
say
makes
what I'm
sense.
doing or who I'm doing it with before, even if people kind of pick up on it. I just can't come out and say it. So
You'll have
Yeah, then
to
there's a
remind
mo-
me the time
Yeah,
so
he
I can
doesn't
tune
want to
in
get
right
in
at
trouble.
the
Yeah, I'll get
moment,
in big
because
trouble.
I'm
And then there's
also
a-
not a sports person, but
Right.
I'll look to see.
and then there's a
Time.
movie I've been working on for like a year that is almost wrapped production. It'll come out next summer. So that's something that that'll be coming out. So that'll be cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you
It's
run into me at the
exciting.
gym occasionally, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, when I see you at the gym, I'm usually have just gotten back to or getting ready to go like to LA or something to work.
Oh,
And
nice.
so like I got back yesterday and I'm going to the gym today, then I gotta leave tomorrow. So and then I go to the gym out there, So
busy.
yeah, it's kind of sucks because I'm never sleeping in my bed.
I feel like it'd be hard to balance all the things.
It is hard and my body hurts and all those things. But again, these are first world problems because I could also, quite literally just be like out putting down asphalt in the 110-degree heat. And I'm not
Yeah.
doing that. So it's like, I don't want to complain, but my reality is my reality.
The pros and the cons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we all deal with the same
Shit.
bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pick your poison.
Yeah. I sit in the car for 5.5 hours driving back and forth all the time. And I stand up for 8-10 hours a day sometimes on my feet. I have to do like physically tiring things and running through scenes and stuff. And
I think a lot of people are under the impression that it's just like easy fun. You get to be famous or like.
then
it's
I don't
all
get to
good.
be, unfortunately.
It's like that's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, and then when
It's
you're
like, I'm
not
sure there's a
filming, you're
lot of
sitting
work
on your
that
ass
goes
like
into
in a room somewhere or on a chair leaning on a wall, waiting for someone to yell at you to come back to work.
Yeah.
So.
What do you do with yourself during all that downtime?
I have my MacBook, and if there's anything I have to do with work, I'll help out with work. If it's in our slow season, like we're going into right now, I will just sit around and like talk to the set medic or one of the grip guys or something, or production, just hang out with people that aren't busy shooting a scene or something. And so a lot of just hanging out, chit chatting, take a walk around the studio, whatever, and it's weird. It's weird that's my life. I keep thinking that's like it's fucking weird, but it's cool.
Now, do they pay for your accommodations out there?
Yeah, you get paid for like anything you have to do. Like even if I have to put on a wig, I get a wig bump. It's called. I get wardrobe bump. So if I have to like put on a certain thing to wear, a cover of some sort, I get wardrobe. I have to change against wardrobe bump. Everything you do is a bump for something. I get and so you get paid based on every little thing you have to do.
Yeah. And when you have to cover your tattoos,
Yes,
how long?
makeup.
How long does that take?
I haven't had to do that yet, actually. So but I have to do it this week. And I imagine it's going to be like probably an hour because I have full sleeves. My hands are done for, people obviously they're listening so they can't see me, but yeah, hands are fully tattooed. My arms are fully tattooed up to my shoulders and my legs are tattooed. So yeah, they're going to have to tattoo my entire arms and hands this week. Or makeup on my entire arms and hands. Probably take about an hour. So they had me take pictures of my arms and hands to the makeup artist so that they knew what they were dealing with and all that. You got to do all that stuff ahead of time so they know what to expect. And they'll mix custom makeup to match skin tones and everything. It's wild. Yeah. So I've done that before on my tattoos years ago. That was on Ballers. I think they covered up something on my tattoos. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it's a trip.
It is wild.
Yeah, it's fun, man. Life's good, and so yeah, I'm having a good time.
What's the general anxiety level about what's going to go on in the next 2 weeks?
Well, so the anxiety. Oh, for politics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're changing gears. Well, I was gonna say it's not as bad as my anxiety like when I'm working sometimes because I when I showed up the other day at work that I didn't know that I was going to be reading lines, and so I didn't get sides. Your lines are called sides, and so they didn't give me sides or no one even told me I had to act. And so they're like, hey, take this script and go read this and act this out. There wasn't, hey, here's how it should sound, here's how it should look, here's how it should be. Just go read this and do it. And so I spent 2 days going through the script that was being rewritten constantly, by the way, and having to run through a scene and literally act it out with no inspiration, no motivation, no nothing. Just go run through this stuff and say these lines and walk it while you're doing it. Move over here, kneel down, pick this thing up, do that while you're doing it. I'm like, I'm not a professionally trained actor. So it was.
And they just laid that on you?
They don't have that all figured out.
Wow.
Before.
That would be stressful.
They don't have you go to acting classes or anything?
No, I haven't had to, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I've been around long enough. I mean, I know how to act a little, but it was still like, oh my God. So I read through it, memorized what I needed to memorize and did it, but it was literally minutes instead of
changing it up. Would be stressful.
Yeah, because I came the next day and they're like, yeah, we rewrote everything. I'm like, cool, awesome, fucking awesome. I can't wait. And then, then by the time it's over, I'm like, well, I've got it all down now. Shit, like, what am I doing? But the stress for politics, man. I'm changing gears again. My ADHD kicking in. Yeah. The election. I mean, I feel like none of us are. I feel like the majority of us are not stupid enough to go back to where we were. I also believe that Trump isn't winning over large swaths of people. The independents are who decide elections, especially in battleground states like Arizona. Right. We don't like extremists here in Arizona. We never have. I've lived in Arizona since '83, and every time there's some shithead in office, they get booted out in Arizona. Meekum or
I was gonna say, dear.
Yeah, going back, and I was a kid, but I knew who Evan Meekum was, and I knew who Fife Symington, and all these people. Every time there's somebody that's too extreme, they get voted out because we don't like it here. I mean, look at Kirsten Sinema. Like, she's this lunatic.
Bye.
Yeah, she's gone. She made it through, a few years, and out she goes. She didn't even run her primary. She just gave up because she had no chance because she's so hated. And so we threw Trump out in Arizona, and we didn't vote in, a couple of the really extreme, awful people. The only one that got through was Mark Fincham, I'm sorry, not Fincham. Who's the guy that came the Board of Education guy? He's a total dirtbag. But other than him, there wasn't really any extremists that got into office.
I'm
talking about local and Arizona politics, like as far as the ones that are voted on, like at the state level. So the governor was not a lunatic.
Carrie Lake lost. Blake Masters,
Mark Fincham lost, right? And then, but there's one dude, this older guy that they put him in for the Department of Education, but just barely. But other than that, we're no extremists, and that's why Masters lost. You don't hear from anymore. It's why Lake lost, and she's literally just gone on the grievance tour. But my point is that I don't see Arizona middle of the road people going, you know what? Trump sucked ass last time, and he's been completely batshit since then, and he's 4 years older. You know what? I should vote for him this time because not only was he awful then, he's even worse now. So I'm going to vote for him. That's not going to happen. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think the only people he has are his hardcore fan base.
Yeah, which is only 30%. It's like 30% of the voting public. which is unfortunate. But
and
it's
he's
not
always
even
going to have them.
Yeah,
I mean,
even when he dies, he's going to be like Elvis. Oh, he's really alive. The CIA killed him.
They're probably still going to buy the stupid flags, new flags, even after he's dead.
Yeah, and it'll be literally they'll talk about him for another decade or two until people finally just forget about it. But that's how I feel. I feel like the states that he lost, he's not going to suddenly win because he hasn't got a new message and a new hope. It's the same shitty, awful politics and even worse ideas now.
I hope that people are smart enough. So I worry about the flip-floppy people that have been like
the undecideds.
The undecideds. That, like if they fall for brainwashing from that side about like that he's going to make groceries cheaper.
Yeah.
Even though that's
then why didn't he do it the first time?
Obviously a lie.
Yeah. I'm going to make things cheaper.
That's what I worry. I hope they're not going to be all fickle and because it seems like those people just. They don't like whatever's currently going on, so they're like, we'll do the opposite and see if that changes. And they don't actually, pay attention. They just are very fickle.
They're low information voters.
I wish those people, if you're not going to take the initiative to educate yourself, I wish you'd just,
maybe, sit it out.
Sit one out.
But
that's the backup quarterback phenomenon because the backup quarterback, you're not into sports, but basically you have a quarterback in the NFL, right? And you have a backup that sits there on the bench and watches them play. And the backup is always the most popular guy in town when you're not winning because everyone blames the quarterback if you're not winning. Well, we better bring in the backup because then as soon as he comes in his first game, it's like, finally, we got the backup in. So that whole undecided voter, it's like, well, you know what? Groceries are too high for me. I'm going to vote for the other guy because he'll probably make them better, but he doesn't because they don't control it. And if they did, Joe Biden would have turned the dial down on fuel and everything else all a long, long, long time ago so that he could have just steamrolled right back into office again.
People that don't know how things work.
100%.
Well, and it doesn't help with the media. And the case in point was MSNBC came into town and they were here for a couple of days talking to people. And they went on the air and said, we cannot find one Harris supporter here.
Jesus.
When
you're not
Kat,
hard enough.
When Kat went down
there to talk to them, and I talked to their assistant, the one main guy's assistant people for quite a while, and I thought maybe they would interview me, but when the main guy, I think Vaughn
Hillier?
Yeah, when he was coming out, they basically ushered me off.
Skedaddle lady.
They're like, oh, we're not doing interviews today. That was yesterday. And I thought it was kind of really weird. And then I saw the actual thing, when it was done, and that was the headline. We couldn't find any Harris supporters.
Jesus. And I was out of town.
That sounds like they're trying to make a certain narrative, and I didn't fit the narrative.
Yeah.
Well, the narrative, from what I'm hearing, is to scare Harris supporters to be sure to get out to vote because we can't find anybody. Even though we were screaming at I'm like sending messages to the reporter. I'm like, hey, you want to talk to us?
I guess in that case, maybe that's a good thing if that was their angle and not just to make Kingman.
It was smart of them to come to Gosar country to go ahead and do that.
Conservative, probably most conservative town and definitely the most conservative county in the state. This county is the most conservative. It's the reddest, and the city voted 73% for Trump last time.
Yep.
And it gets higher every time. That's the crazy part. 16, it was good for them, and then they went a few points even higher in 20. So they really. The town just gets, because it keeps skewing older because you keep getting retirees from Inland Empire of California that move here, and they're more conservative because they're not coastal, and they move here and they bring their votes with them, and they're all retirees, and it's anti-tax, anti-growth, anti-everything, which leads, all the big problems we've had over the years here. I've lived here for about 20 years, and it's always been that. So from the city level on up with the voting. So,
yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Well, I tend to overthink things. So, I think I have the anxiety about it. I feel pretty good. It won't be until they announce it, though.
Yeah. I feel like I go
weight
back
would be
and
lifted
forth.
off.
I hear something good and I hear something bad. And I'm like,
I mean, I think about all the way down to oh, well, he's coming after you if you talk shit about him. I'm like, well, we've talked plenty of shit about him over the last 4 years.
Yeah. Well, think of like the Gin Blossom song, Hey Jealousy, and they had a line there that says, if you don't expect too much from me, you might not be let down. And I always think like, well, don't get too excited. Don't expect too much out of the voting populace, and so I'm not walking around going, yep, Harris is going to win. I'm just like cautiously optimistic, but I don't want to like wake up and just feel like this is the worst, one of the worst days of my life.
In 2016, because I thought there's no way that people are going to vote in this nut, and then I woke up and that was exactly the feeling.
It was rough.
I remember I was watching election coverage and it went really late and I fell asleep and then I woke about 2 a.m. and I look at the TV and I was just like, no way.
Yeah. I mean, no fucking way. It's like impossible. But I mean, look at the way the votes, like the early voting's crazy. Like, is it Pennsylvania or Georgia? They have like 2 to 2.5 times the number of early ballots and like from the previous election. I think they had like 150. Now they're at 300 or something.
Record numbers.
It's like massive numbers that are like bigger than 20 even. And it's like high turnout is always good for, liberal candidates. It always is. That's why the GOP tries to stifle voting. If if they got rid of electoral college, they'd never win another election, or got rid of gerrymandering. And that's why they fight that stuff tooth and nail. It's the only thing that keeps them in power. So we all of our kids vote, and they've already got their early ballots in, which is election fraud apparently. But all of us have our early ballots at the house, and I plan on taking them all because it's my household. I'm allowed to take my family members' ballots with me to drop them off, and I'm going to walk up right in front of all those assholes that are standing out there under their tent at the library with my handful of ballots and be like, "Hey, election fraud, guys! Just want to let you know I'm committing election fraud." I'm 2,000 mules here. I'm collecting ballots, which was a law passed by the GOP in Arizona, by the way. And I'm going to go take these and put them in the ballot box. Thanks.
Definitely record the reactions.
Right?
No, you cannot film them within...
Well, they're supposed to be farther away than 75 feet unless they're poll workers.
Supposedly the police came out there and measured it according to
they eyeballed it.
Outside of 75 feet, you're allowed to film because that's public area. So assuming that they are that far away, you're allowed to film. And if they're not, then they're not allowed to be there.
I guess you just can't have a camera out filming anything because the people are allowed to have anonymity at the polls. Is that probably what it is?
That's
okay.
So,
they don't want you photographing and videoing people walking in and out
within the area. I think that means they have to be like either voters at the time or poll workers.
Yeah, and they're neither. They're just there to hassle
So either
people.
way, they're like fair game. I feel like
that's what I think it should be.
You know what cracks me up is that this whole thing with like there being election fraud, and I've been, you go on X, which is a cesspool of racism and nonsense these days.
God.
But like, there's literally conservatives on there going, well, maybe those mail-in ballots should have people's name on them then. And it's like, you're literally saying something that's against the Constitution. These people think they understand, like they're like patriots, and they want names on ballots. I'm like, it's the entire point. If you've ever been in a ballot booth, it's private. The whole point is that you can vote anonymously, you moron. And they're like, oh, they got to put names on them. It's like they have a barcode. The barcode's linked to the envelope. The envelope has the name and information. Each one is counted. The envelopes are kept and put away separately from the ballots, but they keep both. And those numbers match, but they just can't process it.
They think they're patriots because they wear the flag every day.
Yeah. They drape themselves in the flag and purport to love Jesus, so that makes them a patriot. It's wild.
Yeah. Crazy.
It is.
I kind of hate how they hijacked that word.
Yeah.
I know, man. It's hard because the flag was used, as like a cudgel against liberals and Democrats and everybody who wasn't like them. Brown people from other countries. Yeah. People speak different languages.
The enemy within.
It was used to beat up at people, like physically beat up people on January 6th. But I mean, they used the flag as like a weapon, as a way to go, yeah, you're not like us because USA, USA, USA. Yeah. It's a strange thing, man.
I know my favorite team is the Patriots too. So
yeah, how are they doing?
Not good.
Well, about as good as my Cardinals.
Yeah. A little bit worse
since Tom Brady left the team.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
Poor Patriots.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, it was great to have you on again.
Don't lie to me. No,
We always like having you on. I love hearing about Hollywood.
We want to get you back on after these projects come out, so then you can speak about them and what it was like making those.
Yeah. I'll have to schedule our time. And sorry it was so. I mean, you guys don't need me here, but sorry it was so long since the last time. What's it been?
2 years.
Really?
Oh
my God, man! I'm sorry.
No, it's
You're busy.
Everybody's busy.
You're a busy actor.
Oh, come on.
Driving back and forth.
No, I know, but yeah, we're all busy. But yeah, it's just hard. It's like when I'm home, I just want to sit in my house.
Oh, we get that.
Yeah, I just want to sit at home.
I'm like that all the time.
Yeah, you're like, I don't ever want to leave. Yeah, I don't like going out. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to be at home.
Sometimes I don't even want to drive over here to do this.
Right? Yeah.
Right?
I go to my house. I go from my house to the gym, and I go back home, and like maybe I'll get tacos. That's my whole routine here. House gym. You know, so yeah, it's wild. What about you?
Me?
You all right? What's going on? What are you doing? Anything to report?
Prop 139, right? You got to do the final push on Prop
the signs
Prop 139.
for that.
Cool.
Yeah, we got to put signs. We'll talk about that off the air.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool.
It's like we're gonna promote that. I've been, I don't know, feel like I haven't been as involved with. I get really frustrated with the way the Facebook algorithms work, and they don't show people the content unless you're like constantly posting. And so I'm like, I'm just going to do whatever I can, I don't know, with whatever energy I have, because trying to get people involved when the Facebook algorithms kind of like shadow ban stuff or don't show stuff is frustrating.
Don't feel bad, though. You do a lot. You do a lot
working.
for the whole NARAL
You're
and all
working.
that, too.
I'm my own worst critic.
Yeah, I really appreciate
We all
you guys.
are. Yeah.
I appreciate you guys. Appreciate your hard work, everybody's hard work, and appreciate you making time for me and rescheduling to let me get on with you guys. And
Oh no, anytime.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Anytime.
We don't get major Hollywood superstars.
Oh my God, I'm literally the least. Yeah, it's like go look at my IMDb. It's like what he's done almost nothing.
But the person that you work with
You're
is.
the
Person I work with is the biggest star in the world, so that's kind of
all
cool, I
our
guess.
worst critics.
Yeah. But no, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And on that note, we'll wrap this one up.
Yep.
All right.
Bye,
So
y'all.
we all talk to you later.
Ciao.
Bye.